It's the end of the day with Ray. Hello, my friends. Well, the numbers are in. Folks, I'm going to jump on the Sharp Interactive board. Sharp published their second quarter for FY 2022, so we have the numbers for the first half of 2022. And folks, Sharp took a hit in this second quarter on their operating profit. But I got to tell you something. One of the things I like about Sharp is they're very, very consistent in delivering operating profit. And when you're very consistent at delivering operating profit, guess what? When you get hit with a big obstacle, well, you're in a much better position to absorb that obstacle, okay? It's like a big shock absorber. And ladies and gentlemen, Sharp is very disciplined around operating profit. And I believe it's because they're very disciplined around operating profit, they were able to have some pretty big hits against that operating profit and still come above the line. I'm going to share my thoughts when we jump on the Sharp board. But there's something else I did today. I wanted to compare Sharp to another OEM in the space. And when I share this slide with you, I think a lot of you are going to say, wow, I didn't realize that. Because that's kind of what I said. Folks, for a long time I've been saying that we got to quit thinking about the five main players the way we did back in 1990 and 2000. Because when you look at what Sharp's doing, when you look at Sharp's products, when you look at how Sharp's delivering to the dealers, you can start imagining that Sharp could easily be one of the major players in our space, especially based on their product portfolio, which is allowing end users to do what? Consume information more and more behind glass, because Sharp does have a lot of glass products. So without any further ado, let's jump on the Sharp Interactive board. I want to share my thoughts with you on Sharp's first half of FY 2022. Let me start out by reading this statement, and this is what Sharp had as the very first slide in their presentation. First half fiscal 2022 sales were higher year on year, mainly due to growth in focused areas, including brand businesses in the Americas and Asia and displays for automotive. Operating profit, ordinary profit, and bottom line profit fell significantly due to the rapid weakening of the yen and deteriorating display market conditions. Ladies and gentlemen, Sharp has really gotten clobbered by the weakening of the yen, and it seems like they got clobbered a lot more than some of the other players in the space. But look at this. November 4th of 2021, the yen was at 113.85. November 4th of 2022, the yen's at 146.61. Folks, this is a big difference, okay? I mean, this is the weakest the yen's been for a long, long time. Just like over here in the United States where the Fed keeps raising the prime rate, right? We're going into waters that we were in 3 decades ago. The economies of the world are being stressed. And those economies, as they're stressed, guess what? Those end users that consume up these products, well, their budgets are shrinking. And it's going to be rocky roads for the next couple of years. And it's only going to be those OEMs and it's only going to be those dealer friends of mine that truly pay attention and focus on profit that are going to push through this. That's just the reality. So let's look at what we got here. So folks, the top line revenue for Sharp for the first half of 2021 is $8.6 billion. This is all company in. Operating profit is $16.4 million. It's above the line, but just barely. It's up 0.2%. But folks, here's the reality. Look at where they were. For FY 2021, they were at a 3.4% operating profit. For the second half, they were at 3.6% operating profit. For the first half, they were at 3.2% operating profit. So because they've been able to deliver an operating profit all through 2021, folks, all through 2020, folks, here's the reality. Where do you see this comparison against Sharp and this other OEM? I think you're going to freak out when you see these numbers. But again, they got to get their operating profit up, but I believe they have the discipline to do that. But I want to show you something. Let's look at where that operating profit took the hit. They took a $140 million hit in operating profit for the first half based on the foreign exchange. That's a big number. There's a lot of our friends out there that couldn't take a $140 million hit out of profit. Okay, they'd be way below the line. They would, folks. They took another $140 million hit for the first 6 months based on the Saki Display Productions Corporations and that consolidation. That's $280 million. Like I said, there's not a lot of players in our space that could have ate up $280 million and still been above the line. Let's look at our friends in the 8K ecosystem at Sharp, because that's where that print stuff lives, right? Folks, top line revenue for the first half is $2 billion, $15 million. Operating profit is $25.2 million. Folks, in that space, they're doing pretty darn well. They had a 2.4% operating profit and $25.2 million halfway through the year. We'll see how they pan out at the end of the year. And they got some challenges like everybody else, but they are definitely above the line in our space. Let's look at what they're doing for their forecasts, because they made some adjustments. They adjusted their operating profit for the whole company by $273 million. That's a big number. And that has to do more on the yen and more on the Saki Display Corporation, I'm sure. But folks, for the full year, they want to do $18.4 billion, and they want to have an operating profit of $170.5 million. So they're going to end the year above the line. They're going to clean up some messes this year, it looks like, positioning themselves for an interesting time in FY 2023. But this is the slide I want to show you, folks. I did a comparison between Sharp and Konica Minolta for the years 2020 and 2021, and then the first half of FY 2022. Let me just share these numbers with you. I know there's a lot on this screen. Don't try to read it. It's just my notes. But let me share these numbers with you. Konica Minolta, for years 2020 and 2021, whole company, did $13.1 billion, and they had an operating profit loss of $262 million. $13.1 billion for years 2020 and 2021, with an operating profit loss of $262 million. Our friends over at Sharp, same period of time, all in, $33.560 billion in top-line revenues for those 2 years. Profit of $1.145 billion. Ladies and gentlemen, that's $1.407 billion ahead of Konica for that same period of time. Let's see where they're at, all company, for the first half, if you compare them. $8.5 billion for our friends over at Sharp, halfway through, and they got a $16.3 million operating profit. Our friends over at Konica, $4.4 billion, $290 million, all company in, with an operating profit loss of $34.7 million. So you can see, for 2.5 years, Sharp's been pretty consistent on doing what? Making sure they got enough operating profit so when they run into some obstacles, they can address them. And it looks like they're addressing them pretty well. Let's look at the 8K ecosystems by itself for that same period of time. And let's look at the digital workplace and professional print business over at Konica, which is that's the group we all care about, right? For that same period of time. So for 2020 and 2021, the total revenue over at Konica for those two groups, which is the digital workplace and the professional print, was $9 billion in revenue. Okay? And the operating profit was $107.7 million loss. So for 2020, 2021, Konica did a total revenue of $9 billion with an operating profit loss of $107.7 million. We look at our friends over at Sharp in the 8K ecosystems. For the revenue was $7 billion, $235 million. And for those 2 years, they had a $276 million profit. That's a $383.7 million operating increase over Konica for 20 and 2021. Folks, this ain't nothing to consider a stepchild. Sharp's a major player in our space. They really are, and they know how to deliver operating profit. Let's compare where they're at so far for the first half, just the 8K ecosystems, digital workplace and professional print for Konica. So for Sharp, halfway in, we're at $2 billion, $15 million, and we have an operating profit of $55.2 million. That's pretty good, right? I mean, we're halfway through the year. Let's see where Konica's at. They have a $2.7 billion total revenue for the first 6 months, and they have an operating profit loss of $11 million. So you can see that Sharp does earn some respect. And you could also see that if you compare them to Konica Minolta, folks, they're a major player. I mean, the only thing that Sharp doesn't have that Konica does when you think about our space, well, they don't have production and industrial print. But quite honestly, do they need it? No, they don't. Because they have all the stuff that people are going to read and consume behind glass. They have all those products. And the other thing Sharp doesn't have to near the level is IT services. And as I talked about yesterday when I reviewed Ricoh, maybe Sharp and some of these other players need to really think about how they're going to deliver these IT services into the market, because apparently If you look at Konica and you look at Ricoh, those have been some struggle points, obviously. Something's got to be dragging down their operating profit. I mean, in Konica's case over here, the only real operating profit they have that's really kind of pulling them out for FY 2022 is in that production and industrial space. And without the details of how that operating profit has gotten so big, I don't know. But it is something to think about, and we need to pay attention to Sharp and give them a little bit more respect. Folks, Sharp's kicking off smartphones in Americas. I got excited when I saw this. There they are. Think about this, smartphones. I keep talking about how more and more end users are consuming information behind glass. More and more of them, right? Folks, this could be really, really interesting where this goes in the United States. This could also be really, really interesting how dealers one day may play inside that smartphone space. I mean, think about it. Businesses, as more and more businesses have more and more remote workers, you know what they're going to start evaluating? They're going to start evaluating, well, they're going to start evaluating smartphones. And they're going to say, do we really want smartphones to be owned by the employees, or do we want to own those smartphones for the employees? So when the employees leave, we get the phone back, we can wipe the phone, we have total control over the phone. Folks, that's a real, real reality. And Sharp, you know, going to businesses and selling services and products with smartphones, I think there's an opportunity there, and I'd really love to explore that opportunity with Sharp because I think there's something there. But look at this other stuff, folks. You go to their website and look at it. This is why I get excited about it. I don't get excited about the copies and printers. You know what? Sharp, like everybody else, we're going to sell that stuff until we don't sell it anymore. It doesn't matter to me. You know, the Sharp dealers are going to sell print equipment just like all the other players out in the space, and we're going to continue to do that. And in the meantime, we better have some other products to go into the marketplace. But they got them. Collaboration, the data book laptops. They got displays and projectors. They have this Synapse. And you know what? We know what these other things are, but I did want to pull up this Synapse because I think it ties back in to those smartphones. Folks, software and management tools for devices, smartphones, laptops, collaboration boards. Pretty exciting stuff. But now I want to finish up with my last slide because, folks, I thought this to be interesting. These color codes are where Sharp generates its revenue from around the world. And the purple is China. And you can see that China is a big customer for Sharp. You can also see that they've had some issues in China because of what? The zero tolerance on COVID, all the stuff that goes with that. But look at Americas. Americas in the third quarter did $1.3 billion worth of revenue. Folks, there is a tremendous opportunity for Sharp in the Americas and Europe. Tremendous opportunity. And I think that opportunity is going to come to life as Sharp pushes more and more products into the Americas. And I'm telling you, they have a huge opportunity for growth, not only in America, but in Europe, which is in green. So the orange and the green are Americas and Europe. Folks, that's all opportunity. And with the products that allow customers to navigate behind glass, folks, there's a big future ahead of Sharp. There's also a big future ahead for all the dealers. We just got to pay attention in the marketplace, and we got to go where those customers are going. And if you think about Sharp, they definitely have the products to get those customers where they need to go. Just some things to think about, my friends. I'll see you from on the road, from Orlando at IT Nation. But everybody knows this: status quo is the killer of all that'll be invented. Don't get stuck in status quo and have a fantastic day.